Most of us take our modern conveniences for granted. Cell phones, email, and laptops to communicate, GPS to tell us where to go. But what if those things suddenly went away? 207's Don Kerrigan is here with a story that made him think about that possibility.
It did indeed, Rob. So if you're on the coast, you're in a boat, pretty good chance nowadays you find your way by using a GPS. But just a couple of generations ago, and for a few centuries before that, people did it using a compass and a sextant and a map. Well, I met a guy in Port Clyde, whose name you might recognize, who met people in the South Pacific who navigate across the oceans with none of those tools whatsoever, just using the sun and the stars. He went down, learned how to do it, came back and wrote a book about it.
Yeah. I mean, the summer people come over and they say, oh, it's, you know.
Steve Thomas has made part of his life on the sea.
When do you leave? Yeah. Oh, you know.
Part of it.
Let's take leave of this old henge and head back to London, to this old house.
Many Americans know him for the other part. 14 years as host of the PBS TV show This Old House. Then he wrote books, did some home renovation shows for other channels, and is still a builder. But before any of that, Steve Thomas was a world sailor, and that led him to discover and learn the ancient ways that Pacific Islanders navigate their ocean, knowledge that Steve has helped to preserve and that he first learned about while reading a book during a long voyage home from Hawaii.
So I read the book and thought, this is amazing. These guys, these native navigators, can execute complex voyages such as the one we're on using stars, waves, and birds.
Not even a handheld compass or a sextant or anything.
Mm-mm.
He was in his early 20s then and quickly captivated by the idea.
I developed this crazy idea that maybe I could go to Micronesia.
Research showed him the small island called Satawal, part of the Caroline Islands. He talked with other researchers and even learned the island language, Satawalese. Then in Boston, he met a documentary producer working on a film about Satawal and its navigators. Steve became a consultant, and finally, in the early 1980s, he went.
You know, you don't make any money doing these things. I mean, I funded the first trip. I filled up my credit card.
He took along a big piece of special cloth for making sails as a gift. The sail made his island mentor's canoe sail faster when they went for fish. He was in.
He's the navigator. He's the master navigator.
The Satawal people apparently liked the curious American. They took him in and began to teach him the ways of their world.
Did they teach you how to navigate their way?
They did. And then the sailing directions.
He would later tell that story in this book, The Last Navigator, published in 1987. But that came after sharing the islanders' lives in 2 visits totaling nearly a year, forming close, almost family relationships, taking thousands of photographs, and learning how to navigate and sail across the ocean by watching the sea and the sky.
So during the day, use the swells. During the night, use the stars. And then there's a certain species of birds, noddies and terns, will fly out about 18 or 20 miles from the island to fish for the day and then fly back.
And much more.
Do you think, I won't say mastered, but do you think you learned their skills enough to do it yourself?
Well, that's an interesting question, because at one point, toward the end of my second fieldwork season, Pialig said, I don't have anything to teach you anymore. You're done.
Steve Thomas's voyage would take him many places. Life and lots of sailing with wife Evie. The book, then to TV and a career doing and showing home renovation. But Satawal and its people stayed with him.
Imagine memorizing all of this.
And now another book, a new edition of The Last Navigator, because his old friend Rafferty, a teenager when Steve lived there, asked him to update the book, to put in real names of the elders who are now gone, and what he saw and learned on Satawal.
It is their cultural heritage. So, I mean, it was lucky that I was there at the time, you know, with a tape recorder, a typewriter, and, you know, the experience enough to be able to ask the right questions.
So you preserved their culture.
That's what they say.
But if you're out on a boat here, or wherever you may go, how often do you think about those people and what they taught you?
I think about it all the time. I think about it every time I go down to the harbor and, you know, look at the ocean or look at the sunset. I mean, it's not just the navigation. It's so rare, as you well know, to be brought into a society like that and to be entrusted with the sacred knowledge.
Over the past 40 years, he's preserved that knowledge and is now giving it back to ensure it will never be lost.
And to that end, Steve is also writing a second book, what he calls a more scholarly one, that will compile all of his work and his research, Rob. His journals, his notes, his tape recordings with island elders, his photographs. He's putting all of that together to publish, but essentially really to give to the people of that island, to really show and preserve the full breadth of the history they found. And incidentally, that question that we talked about right at the beginning about what happens if we lose all of this technology, right? Do we have that knowledge? Well, Steve has been asked, he's gone to the U.S. Naval Academy to lecture a little bit about this, and we found out that Maine Maritime Academy still teaches its students to navigate using a compass and a sextant, shooting the stars and the sun.
Good skills to know.
Yeah.
Thanks, Don.